Hey there, everybody. Pete Pardo here from Comic Book Users. Welcome to another episode of Inside the Cover. We're going to dip back into some Daredevil for 2 episodes. These are basically a 2-issue little mini storyline here. This is Daredevil number 113, The Gladiator Strikes Back. That's one of my favorite covers ever with the Gladiator on. I believe this is a Johnny Romita and Gil Kane production there. I think Romita on the pencils and Gil Kane on the inks, if I'm not mistaken. Some little dialogue, a lot of dialogue on the cover of this one. You'd never avoid these deadly discs of mine, not even if you had eyes in the back of your head. And then Daredevil's thinking, with my Raider sense, I practically do, but though I know what's coming, he's moving too fast. And this, of course, is from 1974. Steve Gerber wrote this story. Bob Brown on the art, Vince Colletta on the inks, Artie Simic letterer, L. Lessman colorist, and Roy Thomas was the editor. So here we see Matt Murdock, otherwise known as Daredevil. I forgot Bob Brown did quite a few of the issues of artwork here around this time period in Daredevil. In the rainstorm, sitting on the rooftops overlooking what's going on down below. All right, and he's thinking back about some stuff that happened in the issue before, right around the Statue of Liberty. It's kind of like a little tie into the issue before, but then he decides, all right, I got to get back to doing what I got to do, right? So he goes back to thinking back on his little parting of the ways with the Black Widow, because of course they've had this on-again, off-and-again relationship right around this time for about a year. So Matt's he's pretty solemn about the whole thing, right? Goes back to the office. Here's a message, all right, or here's the phone ringing. But by the time he gets into the office, or is this his house? I guess his house, his apartment. They already hung up, so he kind of missed the call. So who was the call coming from? Well, the call was coming from none other than Foggy Nelson's sister, younger sister, Candace Nelson. So she's being kind of interrogated here by 2 FBI guys for what we don't know. All right. But they're getting ready to take her out. And then who comes busting in, flying in from the window? None other than the Gladiator. All right. You're not going to be their prisoner. You're going to be mine. So obviously he's got his sights set on taking Miss Nelson in as well. Ms. Nelson, I should say, because she was young. She was a bit younger than Daredevil and Foggy, I believe. So here we got in the next page, we've got the FBI agents trying to overtake the Gladiator, right? One guy gets his gun sawed in half. The other guy gets a little bit of a zip on the midsection, right? So Gladiator doesn't kill the FBI agent, but he wounds him just enough so he bleeds and he's out of action. He grabs Candace, grabs some paperwork, because apparently she's got some interesting information that everybody's looking for here, right? And jumps out the window. Just so you know, let me just make sure I didn't miss that here. Yeah, it's coming up, actually, the stuff that she's looking at. All right, so here, of course, the word has gotten out that she has disappeared. So, of course, Foggy, you might remember, he got attacked a couple issues ago, and he's still kind of recuperating. He's kind of useless, so they think that there might be some clues down in Florida that Matt is going to go follow up on. Florida? I think you know where this is coming. If you haven't noticed, look where they're fighting on the cover, right? You can see kind of like some swampy areas, and so they're already down in Florida, right? So they head down to Florida. Matt follows up on one of the leads, and as it turns out that Candace, she's in college, she's doing like some kind of research paper or whatnot, and she's looking up some information on some goings-on between scientists and the military, having to do with like a super soldier formula and the works of a young chemist named Theodore Salas, otherwise known as Dr. Ted Salas. Does that name sound familiar to you all? Ted, right? Ted Salas. Formula SO2, Secret Soldier 2, right? Yes, indeedy. We're talking about Ted Salas, who later became the Man-Thing. So here, just some more scenes of Matt talking to various people, trying to find out some clues as to where this Ted Sallis guy might be, where Candace might be, who's holding her down here. All right. So then, of course, he goes to Citrusville, and he goes and meets up with this radio station DJ named Richard Rory. Of course, Richard Rory, if you're familiar with the Man-Thing comic, one of the supporting cast in Man-Thing. Okay, so he talks a little bit about, his knowledge of what's going on down there. So him and Matt hook up. They go to look at the old place where Ted used to live and work out in the swamps of the Everglades. And of course, who happens to be hanging around there as well but Gladiator. So what he does is he knocks out Richard Rory. Matt Murdock runs away before the Gladiator actually gets to see who he is. So he goes off, comes back as Daredevil. The fight commences between the two of them. Okay, so here we are. And, Gladiator's doing a pretty good job of things here. And I love the banter between them. Daredevil, it was you. It was you who, if only I paid more attention to your face. So he's like, obviously it was you who was here before with Richard Rory, but I couldn't see who you were. And yet I'll know soon enough who you are after I'm done with you. And here they go, duking it out here. Pretty good action scene here. And here you got Daredevil dodging all over the place, and the blades of the Gladiator hitting trees, right? So, and then at one point, Gladiator strikes Daredevil in the leg, in the lower part of the leg, and he's got these razor sharp things on his boots, and he slices open Daredevil's legs, and he's bleeding profusely. He hits one of the limbs of the tree above with his blades. Down comes the branch, knocks him over the head. So Daredevil is out for the count, right? And then on the next page, you see the person or the bad guy who's behind what Gladiator is doing, behind this whole thing, trying to get Candace Nelson, trying to get information about Ted Sallis and all this stuff that he was working on. And as we find out, it is none other than the Death Stalker who's kind of pushing the buttons here. But yet, who shows up right behind them? Okay, when he's basically telling Gladiator to kill Daredevil, because of course he's a thorn in his side. Who shows up behind? None other than Man-Thing himself. And so the conclusion of this story will be in the next issue. Stay tuned for the next episode, right? So pretty cool stuff. Who would ever thought that Daredevil would be finding himself down in the Florida swamps, the Everglades, messing around with goings-on having to do with Man-Thing. But why not, right? So that is our Inside the Cover today, issue number 113 of Daredevil, The Man Without Fear. Stay tuned for issue number 114 in just a couple days. And until then, please hit that like button before you leave, and also that subscribe button. If you're watching this video and you're not a subscriber, please consider subscribing and clicking on that notification bell so you get alerted of all of our content as it posts. So stay tuned. We got more stuff coming up. Like I said, another Inside the Cover for issue 114. While Bill and I will be getting together for a few episodes, we might get Kirk back on here soon too. We got some more Marvel magazines, black and white stuff, all sorts of fun things. So stay tuned for more on Comic Book Geezers. I am Pete Pardo. Thanks for watching, everybody. Bye-bye.